everybody. Hello, thank you. Thank you. I am Canadian. I've lived... Yeah. I've lived here for a year. My first day here, this lady's like, oh my God, Canadian, you guys are so nice. And then I just had this guttural urge to disprove her. I'm like, actually, you know, when I lived in Canada, this guy lived down the street from me and he stabbed the woman 52 times after he took her out for dinner. And she's like, well, in the UK, he wouldn't even take her out for dinner. That is nice. And now I live near the Brixton McDonald's. And Brixton is one of the weirder neighborhoods in London. But I love the Brixton McDonald's, because if you're feeling shitty about yourself and you're just like, what am I doing with my life? You just go to the Brixton McDonald's at 4 in the morning and then you're like, I'm doing fine. Like, I got an 80-pound fine for putting a cigarette out on the ground in front of the Brixton McDonald's. 80 pounds. Like, that's the problem with the neighborhood, is too many cigarette butts on the ground, not the fact that the team from The Wire is dealing drugs all around me. And then the lady's like, well, why didn't you just put it in the bin? There's a man shitting in the bin. Like, you don't have to fine me. My punishment is having to live near here. My first day I was walking in there, I saw this lady, and she's screaming at this homeless guy in a wheelchair, and he has one leg. I feel bad for the guy, you know, some empathy. But then as I'm walking out, turns out he is the villain. He punched this woman in the stomach, and she fell on the ground crying. And I'm just sitting there stunned. I was like, would I be a hero right now if I just punched this guy in a wheelchair? Or at least tipped him over? And it would have been a fair fight, really, because he's down a leg and I'm holding a McFlurry, so I'm down an arm. A pretty equal back and forth. There's only 2 rules to the fight. Number 1, no dropping my McFlurry, and number 2, no growing back your leg. But that is not likely, because you are not a lizard. I've never been mugged or anything, really. Because, like, I don't look like the kind of guy that can kick your ass, because I'm not. But I do look like the kind of guy where if you kick my ass, I'll just write your name down and shoot you in 3 years. Or if I'm in a good mood, I'll just mail you a picture of your kids getting off a school bus. But that picture will be taken from inside your house. Today, I was walking through this group of kids, and they kept, like, shoulder-checking me and hitting me really hard. So I said, hey, kids, stop touching me. You're violating my parole. They left. I'm a bit under the weather. I have a bit of a cold right now. And the worst part for me about having a cold is when you smell women's hair on the bus, they can hear you. You smell like strawberries. You're sick. I am sick. She already cares about me. I try not to be creepy. I'm just not very good at it. Like, I was sitting on a bus and I was staring at this girl and, like, fantasizing. And then I noticed this other dude staring at the same woman and, like, fantasizing, which is weird, because now I feel like I'm in a psychic gangbang. And me and this homeless dude are spit roasting a chick in a bus in our minds. And then the guy looks at me and he goes, yeah! And I didn't know what to do, so I was just like, yeah! What did I just agree to? What does that even mean? I grew this beard because I wanted to have the beard of a man. Just something resembling manhood. It didn't work, though. I just have the beard of a woman in the circus. On my way here, someone actually asked me, is your beard real? As if it wasn't, this is the beard I would choose to put on every day when I wake up. I'll take Patchy Hobo again. But what I said was like, no, it's not actually every day. Just shave my pubes and glue them to my face. Thanks for asking, though. I have this friend who's a vegetarian, but she has a cat, which I never understood. I'm like, so you won't murder an animal for food, but you will kidnap a cat for joy. Because Because if you have a cat, that's what you're doing. You're kidnapping it. And you know that, because if you ever leave a door open, the poor cat's like, this is my chance! And then it sprints for the door, and right before it gets there, you pick it up. You're like, what are you doing, kitty? You love me. No, it doesn't love you. It has Stockholm Syndrome. Like, why would a cat love you when you took its balls, its claws, and you never let it meet another cat? It doesn't even want to escape. It just wants death by car. I really want Justin Bieber to sing at my funeral, just that for my friends at the funeral, my death is the second worst thing happening there. Like, people genuinely want you to feel sorry for this kid because he was raised by a single mom. That's a real thing. And it's like, hey, you know what's way more depressing than two miserable people getting a divorce? Two miserable people staying together and raising the comedian you see before you. Like, you know why I moved here? I moved here so the physical distance between me and my family matched the emotional one. I love X-Men. My favorite X-Men is Professor Xavier. Because that guy is in a wheelchair, but he can move things with his mind. But that's what I never understood. Like, if you can move a huge building with your mind, shouldn't you be able to move your legs with your mind? Like, I think he was just faking it for a better disability check. And in the new X-Men, there's this mutant Darwin, and Darwin's mutant ability is to adapt. Like, when Darwin puts his head underwater, he grows gills. He adapts, which is amazing, but this guy's black in 1962 America. And it's like, hey, if you grow gills on your face, you should not be black in 1962. Adapt. That's your mutant ability, Darwin. Like, at one point in the movie, the guy had bulletproof skin, and I was like, dude, you wouldn't need that if you're just white. Like, I have an idea, I have a theory, hear me out. I think that every person who lives in the Middle East should get to vote in the US elections. Think about it. Every person who lives in the Middle East should get to vote in the US elections, because it really fucking affects them. Like, more than anyone else in the world, it affects them. Like, if you're a guy in Nebraska, who gets elected is just a figurehead that you blame your life on. That's it, no connection. But if you're Ahmed in Afghanistan, it matters. Who gets elected determines the size of your next family reunion. And how many Paralympians you're gonna have. I was reading this article about the unluckiest people ever, and there was this couple, and on 9/11, they were on holiday in New York. And then, when the London bombings happened, they were on holiday there. And then, a year later, when the shootings in Mumbai, India happened, they were on holiday there. And this article said that they were the unluckiest people ever. And I was like, well, no, they're not. Clearly, they're just the organizers of 3 terrorist attacks. Like, this is Al and Shirley Qaeda. Like, if you 3 were murdered, you know, and I was at every one of your houses at the time of the murder, you wouldn't be like, oh, Bobby, you're the unluckiest guy in the world. Oh, you'd know what I am. Death. I'm adopted, so I've never met my mom, and I don't know what she does for a living, and that makes it really hard for me to enjoy a lap dance. It does. Some guys want some beautiful stripper. I just want one that doesn't have my nose. That's all I'm looking for. But my family isn't all bad. Like, I love my adopted family. My 16-year-old nephew came to visit me, and he was like, hey, do you know where I can meet some 16-year-old girls? And I was like, no! And if I did, you wouldn't be allowed to visit me. Ever. And then I went to see him, and I had Skype sex in his room. He's about to find out. With my girlfriend when he wasn't there. And then it was awkward afterwards because I didn't know where to come. But then I realized I'm in the room of a 16-year-old boy. This place is made of cum. Like, I could come on a lampshade. It would make no difference to the aesthetic of the room. If you put on a UV light, everything would still be the same color. It would be totally fine. I'm in a good mood. I am. It's because I'm taking my meds. That really helps me. I take antidepressants, they calm me down. Because if I don't take them, I get weird bursts of rage. Like, I was on a train platform, and I was reading a book, and I bumped into this lady accidentally, and she's like, "Excuse me!" And I'm trying to be nice. Trying. I'm like, "Hey, what's going on?" She's like, "No! You should have said, 'Excuse me,' before you bumped into me!" And you have to understand, when someone annoys me, I just want instant revenge. And right as she said that, a train came, and then all I wanted to do was throw myself in front of the train, then look her in the eyes, and be like, "You know, lady, this is all your fucking fault." And then, as the train came closer, I wanted to look at the lady, but then at the train and mock her and be like, "Excuse me!" And then die. And then I want my tombstone put on her front lawn, and it's gonna say, "Bobby Mair, 1986 to 2013, excuse me!" And then, in 20 years, when she's on her deathbed, my son, who's gonna be a doctor, I don't want a son, I've established that, but for the fantasy, let's let it happen. He's gonna look at her and say, "Hello." She's gonna say, "Hello." Then he's gonna say, "Can I tell you something?" She'll say, "Okay." And then he'll say, "Excuse me!" And then she'll die, and then everyone will read that news story and be like, "That guy took that joke a little far." Oh, I saw a cab today. It had a sign on it that said, "There's nothing of value in this car." And then there was a man inside, and he looked very sad. Because I'm worthless. I couldn't afford it, but I went on this 10-day vacation with my adopted dad, and it was 10 days, but no alone time at all. So by day 3 of the trip, I end up having to try to wank off with my dad asleep in the hotel bed beside me. No, but that's not the worst part. The worst part was the whole time I'm doing it, I had to stare at my dad to make sure he didn't wake up. And just imagine it from his perspective. If he woke up, what a harsh reality check that would be on his holiday. Like, he goes from dreaming, thinking some beautiful girl he saw on the street, to waking up thinking his own son's just wanking off while staring at him while he's asleep, pretending that mole on his bald head's a weird nipple on an ugly tit. Never again able to look him in the eyes. I had a one-night stand a couple months ago, and during sex, this girl really scratched my back, like she dug her nails in. And then afterwards, she called a cab. And I'm waiting outside for the cab with her. And she's like, "You don't have to wait for the cab with me." I'm like, "Yes, I do." She's like, "Why?" I'm like, "'Cause look, if you get kidnapped and murdered, my DNA is under your fingernails. And I don't seem like the kind of guy that wouldn't kill a chick." Well, that's it for me. You guys have been amazing. I'm Bobby Mair. Good night.